Hi, I'm Kurt Bowman, and welcome back to Yoga for Old Guys. It's a beautiful June afternoon here in Fargo, North Dakota, and I'd like to do a practice today for guys that have written me and said, hey, I've seen this is something I really need to start doing. I should do this, that type of thing. That's just the point, guys. It doesn't help unless you do it. So let's get started today. And for some of you, this may be your first time doing yoga, and that's the type of practice we're going to have today. So if you would, come into a comfortable seated position. And that may be cross-legged, or your legs may be out in front of you. Whatever is comfortable for you, come into that seated position and just get your bearings. Just take a minute and breathe deeply in through the nostrils. Exhale through the nostrils. Breathing in, exhaling. Getting yourself ready to begin. Take and breathe deeply in through the nostrils and bring your hands up overhead and twist to your left. Twist now with your chest, not your eyes. You can go ahead and let your head follow if you'd like, but the big thing is to open up the chest and twist with your torso, not your eyes. Come back to center. Inhale, arms overhead, twisting to your right. Again, are you pushing up with that right arm? Let the right shoulder drop and open up with the chest. If you focus on opening with the torso, sitting up straight, don't fold into it, you're going to start to feel things open up. Come back to center. Legs straight out in front of you. Left foot up over the right knee. And again, twist to your left. Push that left knee away from the left hip, sitting up straight. Let's open up the hips a little bit. I'm guessing that you are like a lot of guys. Those hips get tighter and tighter each year. Come back to center. Bring the right ankle up over the left thigh and twist to your right, pushing that right knee away from the right hip. Come into a all fours, tabletop. Neutral spine, get your neck neutral. Inhale, drop your lumbar and bring your head and neck up into what's called cow. Dropping your torso or dropping your spine, lumbar. Exhale into cat, pushing away from the body or away from the ground. Let your head and neck drop. Inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. Inhaling into cow. Exhaling into cat. Come into neutral. Come up to standing. Start the back of your mat. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, bend in the knees and come down and let your fingers touch the floor. And go ahead and feel that you can bend in the knees as much as you need to let the fingers touch your toes. And just now start to straighten your knees, your legs, until you feel that shake. And stop and just hold. Let your neck and head hang. Bend in the knees again. Roll up to stand. Inhale, arms over. Exhale, forward fold, bending in the knees, touching your toes. Again, bend as much as you need to, and just slightly straighten the legs. Bend in the knees, roll up to stand. Open your shoulders up, back, and down. Palms out. Push the shoulder blades together. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold one more time. Neck and head hang. Straighten the knees as much as you're able till you feel the shake. Drop your head, drop your neck. Come into a halfway lifted. That maybe slide your palms up to your shins or thighs. Get the back straight, L-shaped, neck straight. Forward fold. Walk your hands out and come into a high plank. Out in the grass today. Engage your glutes. Don't let your butt sag. Don't push it up. Get everything straight from your heels to your top of your head. Go ahead and get it straight. Push back into downward facing dog. You probably won't be able to get your heels down to the ground. That's fine. Just push back. Stretch out the back and shoulders. Don't hold your head and neck up. Right leg. Bring back into three-legged dog. Push it away from you, your foot. Bring your right knee to your right elbow, back to three-legged, right knee, left elbow, three-legged, right knee, chest, three-legged, and bring your right foot up by your right thumb and drop your back knee. Get the knee over the ankle and just lean over that front knee, stretching out the back thigh, a little bit into your groin. You're starting to open up the right hip, left hip a little bit. Feel that pull down here in the left. Lean slightly forward. Come back, drop the hands to the mat, push into high plank. Push back into downward facing dog. Left leg, three-legged dog. Left knee, left elbow. Three-legged. Left knee, right elbow. Three-legged. Left knee, chest. Three-legged. Bring the left foot up by the left thumb. Drop the back knee. Come up into a low lunge. And now the same way, just lean slightly over the left knee, stretching out the right thigh. Feel the right hip open a little, maybe a little in the groin. Left hip. Come back up. Hands down to the mat, high plank. Straighten it out, engage the glutes. Push back into downward facing dog. Walk your hands back to your feet, back of your mat, and just hang it out. Forward fold, bend your knees as much as you need to let your fingers touch the ground. Head and neck are hanging, and roll up into standing, shoulders up, back and down. Take a big breath in through the nostrils. Exhale through the nostrils. One more time in. Exhale. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lifted. Exhale, forward fold. Walk your hands out to high plank. Engage the glutes. Everything is straight. Walk your feet up to the front of your mat. Forward fold. Halfway lifted. Forward fold. Roll yourself up to standing mountain pose. Shoulders up, back, and down. Squeeze the blades together and palms facing out. We're going to start what's called a vinyasa flow. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lifted. Come into high plank. Now keeping your elbows in as closely to your ribs as you're able. Lower slowly into chaturanga, 4 inches off the ground. Roll your toes back. Come into upward facing dog. Stretch out the low spine. Open up the chest. Inhale. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg, three-legged dog. Bring the foot up to the right thumb. Drop your back foot. Turn it out slightly and come into warrior one. Knee is over the ankle. Get your hips square to the front of the mat. Hands to the mat. High plank. Inhale. Lower into chaturanga. Exhale. Upward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale. Downward facing dog. Left leg, three-legged dog. Left foot up by your left thumb. Drop your right foot angled out. Come into warrior one. Square up the hips. Hands to the mat, high plank. Inhale, Lower into chaturanga. Exhale, upward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Stretch out the calves. Drop the head and neck. Push away with open hands. Stretch out your upper back. Look between your hands, or walk or hop to the front of your mat. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lifted. Exhale, forward fold. Roll up to standing. Shoulders up, back and down, blades together, palms out, mountain pose. Inhale through the nostrils. Exhale. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lifted. Exhale, hands to the mat, come into high plank. Lower into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right leg, three-legged dog. Right foot forward. Drop the back foot. This time, come into warrior two. Front heel is in the middle of your back foot. Unless you need a little more balance, move the back foot out. Arms are parallel. Up over your hips with your torso. Look out over your front fingers. Drop the backhand, reverse warrior. Warrior two. Drop your front elbow. Come into side angle. Imagine your fingers and your back heel are in a line. Your head and neck and back are against the wall. And you're turning your chest up to the sky. Come back into warrior two. Straighten your front leg. Tick-tock. Bend at the spine or at the hip or waist. Drop your front hand and bring your left hand up to the ceiling. Open your chest. Don't think you have to touch the floor with your front hand. Don't roll your torso to the floor. Open your chest. Back against the wall. Come into warrior two. Bend front knee. Turn both feet forward. Feet are 3-4 feet apart. Hands on your waist. Bend at the waist. Come into a flat back. Now drop your hands and let your head and neck hang. Hands on the hip. Come to stand. Swing your left foot up to the front of your mat. Hands in mountain. Take a breath. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lifted. Hands down to the mat, come into high plank. Lower into chaturanga. Point the toes back. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left leg, three-legged dog. Bring your left foot up by your left thumb. Drop your back foot into a warrior two position. Front heel is in the middle of the back foot. Arms are out in a T. looking out over your front fingers. Open up the chest. Drop the back hand. Come into reverse warrior. Stretch it out. This is a stretch. Warrior 2. Drop the front elbow. Come into side angle. Get it straight line from your fingertips to your heel. Open the chest. Warrior 2. Straighten the front leg. Bend at the waist. Drop your front hand. Come into triangle pose. Open your chest. Don't fold in. Look up if you have to. If you're able, further open that chest. Feel the spine opening. Don't fold in. Come into Warrior 2. T. And I'm going to change, but come into a wide stance. If you want to be away from the screen, that's fine. Again, wide stance. Hands on your hips. Bend at the waist. Let your hands come to the ground. This time first bend your left knee. Keep your right leg straight. Just drop your glutes back like you're sitting back a little bit. Don't lean this way. Don't lean forward over your left knee. Sit back with your glutes like you're sitting down. Right leg is straight. Left knee is bent. Open up the groin and hip. Come back into wide center. Head and neck are hanging. Bend the right knee and sit back. Don't lean forward. Straight back if you're able. Tabletop back. Sit back and open up that right hip. And left groin. Come into wide. Head and neck are hanging. Let your fingers walk between your legs behind you as much as you're able. Dropping your head as close to the ground as you're able. Relax the lower back. Come back into center. Hands up on your hips. Come into standing. And come into a center neutral position. Standing. All right, let's try some balance. We're going to do first a basic balance. That's something that for us old guys, that balance seems to wane by the day. Ground into your left foot first. Pretend your foot has 4 corners. Ground into all 4 corners of your left foot and just bring your right foot out in front of you 6 inches off the ground. Find a spot that isn't moving, and if you're able, bring your hands into a prayer at heart center. You may need to use your arms and hands for buoyancy. Stand up as straightly as you're able. If you're on carpet, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. I'm on grass, so a little bit more challenging yet. And both feet on the ground. Take a drink. Come back into that, come back into center. Ground into your right foot. All four corners. Find a focal spot and bring your left foot out in front of you off the ground about 6 inches. Legs straight if you're able. And find that position with your hands where you are able to best balance. You will have one side that is more stable than the other. For me, my left is always more stable, even though I'm right-handed. And tighten it up, engage, and come back into standing. Let's try one more balance. Ground into your left foot again. Kickstand this time your right foot. Just put your heel up against your the side of your shin, and bring the bottom of your foot up against your left shin, or if you're able, pull your heel up into your groin. Bring your right knee out perpendicular. This is called tree. Find that focal spot. Never let your foot never let your left knee or your knee be a shelf for the bottom of your foot. Don't push it to the side. We have enough problems with joints, guys, that we don't need more joint problems. And come back into standing. Walk it out a little bit. Ground into the opposite foot, for me the right foot. Kickstand your left foot, heel, and wherever you placed the other foot, place it on this side. Again, for me the right side is a bit of a challenge, especially on the grass. If you fall out of it, come back in. Okay, let's come back into standing. All right, come down to the mat. We're going to further open up the hips and joints. Neutral position. Come into high plank and push into downward facing dog. Right leg, three-legged dog. Now bring your right knee up by your right wrist, and as much as you're able, bring your right foot forward, but do not jack your right knee or any joint. This is the start of pigeon. This is the farthest forward my foot gets. It's the way it is. At 59, this is what's happening. Bring your hands down to the ground and just start to think about dropping your right hip, your pelvis straight down. Don't roll out and say, ooh, that feels really good. Don't roll in. Say, oh, Kurt, that feels much better if I roll it out. Nope. Drop it straight down. If you're able, start walking your hands forward and see if you can come to forearms on the mat. But no matter where you're at, bring your pelvis straight down. If you're able, bring your forehead to the mat. But again, the number one thing to focus on is, where is your pelvis? Is it dropping straight down? You feel your right hip in this case opening up, feeling that nice stretch, not pain. If you're feeling pain, stop. You feel that nice stretch?
For me, this is the best hip opener. And if you've heard any of my videos before, you're going to hear this a lot. If you want your lower back not to hurt, you got to open up your hips.
Push back up. If you're up, just stretch it out. Focus one more time on dropping it. The best way to do that is slide that back foot further away and come into right leg, three-legged dog, and shake it out. Downward facing dog. Left leg, three-legged dog. Left knee, left wrist. Bring your left foot up as much as you're able. You start to feel it in your left thigh, left hip. Push your right toes back a little bit farther, and come down to where you were before on the other side. Even if that's fingertips on the mat, wherever you were before, do that on this one. And again, don't roll it out, drop it straight down. Say, well, it feels like I'm doing more if I roll it out. Yeah. You're also stretching the ligaments and tendons and muscle in a way that isn't the best for the joint. Allow it to open up by dropping down. Push up to fingertips and come into left leg, three-legged dog, and shake it out. Downward facing dog. Bring your hands a little further back as much as you're able. Come into as much of a V as possible. And knees to the ground. Bring your big toes together, spread your knees a little bit, and push back into child's pose. Drop your head, neck, push back, stretch out the lower back, and come into seated. Bring it back to that comfortable seated position where we started. Maybe at the end of that stretching, a cross-legged now is more comfortable than when we started. Eventually you'll get to the point where this may be the more comfortable of the positions. But no matter where you're at, come into a comfortable seated position. One more time. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, twist to your left. Open up that chest. Don't twist with your eyes, although sometimes it helps to look over your left shoulder as long as you're opening with your torso. Come back to center. Inhale, arms overhead. Twist to your right. And drop that back shoulder. I always tend to push up with my right side. Drop the shoulder if you're pushing up. Open with your chest. Come back to center. Take a deep breath in through the nostrils. Exhale. Thanks for that quick practice today. Some of it was kind of basic. Maybe for some it was new. no matter what. Anytime you can stretch the body out, stretch the muscles out, practice your balance, and get a little bit of a slight cardio there, that's a good time. Again, thanks for joining me. If you would do me a favor and like and share if you found value in this, I'd appreciate it. And to you guys, I say namaste. Have a great day.